so much. You do one combo, Joker's got Arsene, and that is going to be a little bit troublesome for Azalea, I feel.
Oh, most definitely. That back air as well with Arsene especially, extra disjointed, will be catching Falco before Falco can do a thing about it and killing super early. But enough about theorizing. We're going into this first game with Fancy looking to prove himself right, and Azalea with something to prove. We're going to be coming in guns blazing, as Fancy demonstrates.
Indeed, Azalea already starting up with this up tilt, puts 35, and we do see Arsene Mia already filled up 50% of the way. This is what I'm saying, Daleks. You just hit him once, and Dad is already coming to help him, and Azalea is just hitting him so hard already.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Rebel's Guard, it might be a brilliant tool if someone's tossing out hits after hits. But if Azalea whiffs one thing, or hell, just chooses to not press a button, oh my god! That kill, I'm not surprised that killed. I shouldn't do the commentator, that killed? But like, down air up smash at that kind of percent, this is some DLC privilege, ouch.
Yeah, that's another move we actually have to talk about a lot. Joker's counter with Arsene is the best counter in the game. The reason why? It's huge, and no matter where you're coming from, as long as you're coming from the left, he's going to hit you to the left. However, Azalea is not going to be getting caught by it because he steals out the stock with a very good
Sorry, are we sure that Joker's the DLC character here? Because that up tilt back air was killing very decisively for the percent it was at. We're not going to downplay Falco by any regard, because you're at 79 and you could die the next time he touches you a bit wrong.
This, to me, is the crazy thing about Azalea. When I've played him or when I've watched him, Azalea's pressure is ridiculous. He got Fancy in one advantage state, did 60. Okay, it's a lot of percent, but most Falcos actually do that much damage. What Azalea does that's different is that he sticks on you. He keeps throwing out moves, he keeps finding good disadvantage options, and he puts serious pain on. But Fancy has responded brilliant right now, does not quite get the guns, and as a result we're back into neutral, but Fancy hasn't been hitting quite a while. Azalea's looking to try and open up neutral as well, considering Fancy's playing kind of on the back foot. Finally puts a Joker in the air. Can we see a hit? No. Great landing, and this is it. We have Arsene coming back up, but he doesn't even need it.
Ooh, probably trying to catch something like a roll from Fancy there with that side B, but unfortunately when Phantasm hits shield, you are just giving up your stock, unfortunately. Azalea learning the lesson the hard way, does drop that stock, but still realizes that that's all you need to make it even. Up tilt back air, one and done. It's one stock apiece.
Do you think we'll see it 3 times? So once, twice?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. It's probably your most consistent kill confirm on this character. Up air. It also does everything. It kind of mows the lawn, it takes the kids for a walk, it combos, it kills. Up tilt is the flavor of the month, and Azalea's not bored of it just yet.
But Fancy's not going to let Azalea press any move, including up tilt on shield for free. We're seeing a lot of footstool gun already, which is a seriously strong disadvantage option because Joker's disadvantage shield options are kind of limited if you have it on deck. And it seems that Fancy does. What else does he have on deck, Dalax?
The big bad rad dad himself, Arsene, has come out to play, as you were trying to get me to say, and he's ready to put up a fight. Fancy only needs to land one hit, and I hate that I'm saying that at 85, but just then it almost killed from center stage. Azalea is in a rough spot.
Can I see a third back air? No, Azalea does an amazing roll to get out of that situation. Finds a fair. Fancy techs the ledge because of how this game works. Gets the gun and gets a follow with the back air. Beautiful adaptation from Fancy. We're seeing an incredible advantage straight from, but finally Arsene is gone.
Oh my god, what a catch! Whether it was Azalea's plan or not, by the way, incredible job just kind of stalling out Arsene.
Yeah, for sure.
Realizing that you don't have the disjoints to play around with it, instead realizing that you have the jump height to play around with it, getting away, just being like, it's gonna burn down its own time. You play your game. I'll let you touch your buttons for a bit. It was really well stalled out, but it's just that the moment it went away, Azalea got a bit too antsy of now's my time, go! And I think Fancy was ready for that, hence just the raw call out with an up smash in the middle.
Yeah. What's actually fascinating is that we put a lot of emphasis on the terror of Arsene and how quickly Fancy will accumulate that. Fancy only got 1 kill with Arsene that game. The other were just strong up smash reads or reactions.
Joker is like, he's definitely not slept on without Arsene. No one thinks he's bad without it. But I don't know if you agree, it's the classic comms thing, right? I'm bad for it. Most other commentators heard is bad for it. They focus on one aspect of a character. They go like, this is the decisive thing in this matchup. Sometimes it is. But with Joker, 9 times out of 10, all people talk about is Arsene. That back air is crazy. The stuff you get to do with Arsene gun is crazy. The recovery, okay, better when you're normal Joker half the time. But you get my point. But Joker on his own is still this formidable force, especially mental-wise. I love talking about mental, because when you're playing as regular Joker, you don't have the fear factor, which means you're just going to go in more. So if the Joker's got good reaction times, and my god, Fancy does, you can get whatever you want off here.
Yeah, Joker actually deals incredibly well with an impressive neutral, especially that nair, that hurtbox shifts. He turns into a ball, basically, with a spinning dagger around him. It's incredibly dangerous.
By the way, I'm going to cut you off real quick. Look at this advantage. 96%. Fancy's dead. Dead. Beyond dead, in the trenches, sent to Tartarus himself, all the way down to the underworld. And let's yet to land a finger on Azalea.
Yeah, I guess Arsene really doesn't matter, because Azalea's not letting him play with it at all right now. Taking that stock with basically one advantage state, keeping Fancy on that left side of the stage the entire time, and getting an amazingly timed down air from it. And Fancy even has a lot of advantage execution. I think that's what gave him the win last game. But it doesn't matter if you can't get into an advantage in the first place when Azalea is dealing with you so quickly and methodically.
Azalea recognizing the Rebels guard there, popping that grab, 28%. It's not much, but hey, it's better than any Rebels gauge meter.
Speaking of Rebels gauge meter, it's already filled up, Dalax, and we just see straight up an F smash come out from Fancy.
Don't roll in! Don't roll in, please! Oh my god! My heart jumped into my mouth the moment I saw the blue balls start going right.
I'm sorry. Are we watching dub again? Because Fancy has just thrown out a third F smash just in neutral, and is, I think, honestly, might be just a little bit shaken up by the beginning of that game, and as a result is just looking to demolish Azalea, which he does with a fantastic read after guns from a footstool. Fancy is so on point with that, Alex, and it's paying dividends.
It's almost like you've got to realize the fact that you're not really being allowed to touch his shield unless it's with something super safe, like that down air there, converting really nicely into a string off the up air. And also, Azalea hasn't stopped moving yet, but there we go, finally gets put to a halt by Fancy. But Azalea's having to be a lot more cautious with how they're approaching Fancy's shield.
Yeah, Fancy's really giving Azalea a reason to be scared, and as a result, he just gives himself a bit more leeway in neutral in general. When you have to fear every state of Joker, that means that you're just constantly in fear of Joker, because that normal neutral is crazy as well, and he will hit you incredibly hard for it. Hell, I think that Azalea might just die here.
Luckily for Azalea, that beat keeps on ticking, but does get pushed back off stage by Fancy. It's your time again to try to capitalize. Fancy just misses that ledge hug back here, and it's Azalea who is looking to make the most of this life, but no, does get caught by the up air, converting into the up smash to take the stock. But now, Azalea's got nothing to fear. Yeah. Go whole hog.
Let's be a little bit careful here, Dalax, because that gun actually had me terrified. However, yes, you're right. Azalea doesn't have to deal with that anymore. At 163, Falco has so many ways to steal out this stock. But speaking of stealing out stocks, I need to talk about how Fancy is recognizing every single situation to find out the smash. It feels like no matter where you are on the stage, platform, ledge, center, he has an up smash for you. It's crazy how consistently he's killing. It's crazy that he's made it back, but it's crazy that I definitely wouldn't say he's home free, because Azalea has already shown himself so capable of answering back.
Most definitely not. Azalea feeling out this neutral, knowing that they don't want to give Fancy more Arsene charge than they need to, but there it is. Finally, he's out to play, and Azalea just kind of isn't giving you the room to use it. You're already half your time's gone, and you haven't been able to swing a move. And once again, you're back in disadvantage. Fancy, you need to get back, and quick. Otherwise, Azalea's just going to keep up this pressure.
Azalea right now is putting on so much percent, gets the down tilt, not quite finding anything off of that. However, Azalea is putting on so much pressure. Fancy just can't do anything right now. Azalea has not let up. He does get shot, but he's still living, he's still breathing. The bullet only grazed him, Dalax, and he's still marching forward. Gets the side B, gets the back end. Beautiful conversion.
Azalea refuses to leave. He is that cold you can't shake off, because he is just omnipresent, always there. I want to note the fact Fancy got Arsene and didn't use a move with it. And I'm not talking like, oh, he didn't hit one. I'm not talking he didn't try to use one. I'm talking he was at ledge in disadvantage. At ledge in disadvantage. You couldn't hit a button before Azalea was on you again.
Just didn't get the chance at all. I feel stupid for talking about Arsene at this point. I feel like we've barely seen his face.
He's not here. He's gone on holiday for a bit. It's not to say that Fancy isn't putting on a show, because we were saying, like, the footstool guns out of shield, it's showing the fact that Joker might not have the best out of shield game, especially if you're in front of him, but Fancy's, it feels like they've labbed that. Purely for the sake of, I want to be comfortable in a situation where I feel like I couldn't normally punish. They're doing a very good job of making the most of their disadvantage, which is like one of the very few things that Joker has that's not the best thing in the world. Azalea is just really good at punishing it.
Yeah, this is honestly so far a phenomenal display of two high tiers, it feels like, because it doesn't feel like we're seeing the top tier Joker, but it feels like we're seeing Fancy
87.
push Joker, base Joker to his limits. But right now he is getting pushed himself. Dalax, he did it again. How can you start a game in the exact same way twice in a row when it's all conditional advantage state? How do you even repeat that?
God only knows. It almost feels like, because we mentioned in a previous set that there are tricks that certain characters have where once you've done it once, you keep it in your back pocket. Because once you've done it, the person's not going to fall for it again. But when Azalea's not fishing for it every stock, you will forget because it was done so long ago that you just you recover like normal, and you can't recover like normal because Azalea's there covering it like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, and right now it kind of seems like Azalea has Fancy a little bit shell-shocked. Yes, again, we get hit by that. But yes, again, does Fancy manage to find such a quick recovery right back into the game, Dalax. Azalea not slowing down, doesn't get the kill, but is putting on damage. However, Fancy is looking really comfortable making comebacks at the moment, which is very key when you're approaching someone who's able to rack up advantage state like Azalea can, rack up the stocks like he can.
Unfortunately, no matter what disadvantage if Azalea gets a catch on how you are trying to go about it, you will just be dropping the stock if you're at like 90. So Fancy has to be playing this more cautious playstyle, but it almost feels like Fancy isn't really willing to do that. They're going hell for leather all the time that they can. Like, they're approaching with dash attacks, and Azalea has the punish game for that if it hits a shield. So you need to be playing more defensive, and unfortunately, Rebel's Guard isn't the defensive option because if you mess it up, you're getting grabbed every single time. Yeah,
fantastic tech on the down air right now, but Fancy really is just getting hit so much. Counters after moves as well. You can tell Azalea just has him a little bit scared at this point, Dalek. I think specifically as well, the side Bs have done great work for Azalea because now Fancy believes that he's in danger no matter where he is. As a result, he's picking options a bit more aggressively, as you rightly pointed out.
What?
However,
that forced attack? Huh?
Yeah, Joker Gun's a little bit broken. So is that confirmed.
Unfortunately, Fancy's DI is the other thing that's broken in this game, as they do live on. Azalea tries once again to pop you up in the air, trying to get a little bit something extra out of it, but just can't secure it yet. And yet, Nair gets punished, and Fancy isn't done with this game. Obviously, you're not going to count yourself out at any point, but Fancy is looking quite unshaken, quite confident, pretty happy to start turning the tables on Azalea here.
No, you're right. For everything that Fancy, like as you said, that confidence and his aggressiveness had got him punished, being able to be confident in yourself is huge when you're trying to deal with these sort of disadvantaged situations. Falco can struggle a little bit from arthritis, considering we're now outside of the range of those up tilt back air confirms, and Azalea kind of just has to look for a raw move, but he is really showing his hand, Alex, because he's piloting around with his movement so nicely, and I myself in this chair, I'm scared.
I feel like I'm more scared than the players at the moment. Azalea finding that forward air finally puts the hurt back on Fancy again, obviously trying to keep him at the ledge, but Fancy gets back A-OK. Now, not only is Azalea quite high in percent, but Fancy has got Rage in spades. The next hit could do it, and Azalea shows exactly what I meant by that, finding the down tilt, and either way it went, both players were one hit from death.
Yeah, Azalea just swinging out with those down tilts. That's actually, again, like you said, keeping those tricks in the back of your pocket. We really haven't seen down tilt come out that much from Azalea, but when you start reaching those 150s, 160s, it's actually a very consistent kill move, and when spaced, it's actually quite safe.
Super safe. Azalea's been very... But not even Azalea. Both players have had seemingly unshakable mentals. Like, I don't think I've seen either of them really change expression much during this set. Normally you see something like at least slip through the cracks, but both of these two have been steadfast. They have their game plans, they know what they want, and they're just going to do it. They're going to play the game to the best of their abilities and get the win at any cost.
I feel like we're far more frazzled than either of them, you're right. Literally, Azalea just pinpoint position like a killer right now. He's putting on that damage and is just so composed as he does so. Puts on 77, puts Arsene back on Fancy. However, Fancy's not really getting to play with it yet.
I'm going to go
another up tilt. Oh my god, Alex, he hasn't landed.
It's not even up tilt. I'm going to go into bed tonight and see Falco up air in my nightmares. That thing's just covering everything, whether it's falling, rising, intercepting, or punishing. Up air seems to be Azalea's go-to option.
If you just treat counting up as if you were counting sheep, perhaps you might see well, actually.
Very true.
Because there's a lot of them.
Of course, Fancy tries to catch Azalea, but unfortunately, Azalea does collide with the winning option there, picking that stock off and moving on to the next one with a very comfortable lead of only 51%.
Fancy going for a huge read with the S-Smash there. As we've said, he really does like to answer back very strong, but going for these reads right now isn't really giving him anything at all. If anything, it's just giving him more damage, Alex, and it is worrisome that Azalea is adapting his combos real time into some serious percent.
Yeah, it's just looking so comfortable. Azalea did drop that first game of this set to Fancy, and then almost kind of, I think, realized where it was that the damage was coming from. And also, I think Fancy's gameplay style has honestly changed. Game 1 was very counter-based. It was very bait and punish, wait for Azalea to touch the shield and do something about it. And whether that's Azalea refusing to touch Fancy's shield going forward, or Fancy just deciding that it's time to go on the offensive, it hasn't been working out as well.
Yeah, I think missing from Fancy there as well. He got the get-up attack instead of a back air, which would have covered Falco, and not taking the Scott seriously hurts right now because Azalea has you at kill percent, and Falco's got so many ways of getting it, but Fancy gets an amazing catch with that back air and manages to get maybe back into this game if Azalea doesn't find something right now.
Yeah, nice little two-piece coming from that down throw. Just sucks up a little bit of percent. It's not much, but it's better than nothing. That F2 as well pops Azalea onto the ledge. Keeping him at disadvantage is going to be key. Falco's disadvantage is quite linear. He's only got a few options, and especially if you shield, it blocks everything and just kind of pops him in front of you. Nice, and ready to be punished. Azalea has to make it to this ledge, and what a wall jump as well.
Yeah, what a beautiful recovery from Azalea. We have never seen him air dodge back to ledge, not once this game. And yeah, he does it there and then to throw off Fancy's tempo. Fancy was ready for the Firebird, and it never came. And so he wasn't ready to react at all. Brilliant way to save the situation, considering Fancy has so much momentum, it feels like right now. But Azalea isn't going to give it up. He knows he has to keep that lead, because if he can, you have to come into a Falco that is going to kill you. He is just going to kill him. That is the facts.
Yeah, that down tilt again, just not working like I did last time. And Azalea refusing to punish the down gun, and instead just waiting for the chance. And Fancy gives it to them.
Beautiful patience from Azalea.
Oh, where's this going?
Into 61. It's been consistently 61. I don't understand how Azalea just keeps finding these, or how Fancy keeps finding these up smashes. Crazy option coming out from Fancy that manages to get him straight back into the game.
Yeah, that down air as well. It's just Azalea has their go-to moves, and they have them for a reason. They work. They put on shield pressure, or they set up. They do basically everything you could possibly need them to. But hey-ho, enough about Azalea. Fancy's the one in the lead. They're the one with the reins, and they are large and in charge for this stock. Azalea finally gets the reversal.
Fancy again going for a big S-Smash read, and that is honestly the one thing I'm scared of for Fancy. Fancy's playing fantastic, but it feels like he's giving away advantage stage just a little bit too much with these smash attack attempts. Does get Azalea off stage. If he can effectuate an edge guard, it's curtains. Azalea doesn't quite air dodge past the ledge. I was scared, but he managed to get back on, and this is honestly an amazing situation for him, because the second hit will come through, even if you parry the first.
EOE on top. Don't worry, Fancy, you're not going to have that team kill you were worried about. Azalea does take it 3-1 and shows to you not to sleep on the kids of EOE, because they'll do that.
Put a little bit of respect on his name.
Oh, I'm not putting... you mean Azalea? Okay, thank God. Okay, yeah. But also, to put some respect on Fancy's name, they were putting up a fight. There was no game that was like a definitive, that was a sweep. Whoa, oh my God, no, there was no fighting back from that. Fancy put up a very good fight, though.